Coming up on Tech News Today, Beats may ditch HTC. 5 minutes of a Google-less internet. Would we ever be able to survive? We'll tell you whether we did, and why Notch abandoned 10 to the Sea. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Monday, August 19th, 2013. Tech News Today is brought to you by ProX VPN. ProX VPN is a virtual private network that allows you to use the internet the way it should be, anonymously and without oversight. For 20% off your new account, go to proxvpn.com/twit and use the code TNT. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used Samsung Galaxy, iPhone, and other smartphones are worth at gazelle.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Ayaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell.
Sarah Lane's still out. She'll be back tomorrow, but we're still going to keep you up to date in the most important stories in the tech world. Put them in some context for you, starting with the top 10 stories of the day. Roll the news fuse. A Palestinian hacker called Khalil posted a Facebook security vulnerability to CEO Mark Zuckerberg's wall after his initial report to Facebook's security team went unheeded. The flaw let users make posts to other timeline pages without being connected to them on Facebook. Flaw was fixed quickly, and Facebook software engineer Matt Jones wrote on Hacker News, "We should have pushed back," asking for more details here.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Beats is trying to get out of its partnership with HTC. HTC once owned over 50% of Beats, but now owns 25% after selling the remainder back to Beats. HTC attempted to differentiate its products by integrating Beats technology into them, but the partnership didn't appear to bring in big sales for the HTC.
LinkedIn has begun promoting itself to high school students older than 13 years, beginning September 12th. The company also launched University Pages, hoping to help students and parents get a jump on career planning, as well as keep colleges connected with future, current, and former students.
On Saturday, Google.com was down for about 5 minutes, 300 seconds, according to Search Engine Land. Google Search hasn't experienced any downtime since 2009. A number of other Google services also experienced outages, including YouTube and Gmail. According to Go Squared Engineering, the Google outage caused a 40% drop in global page views.
Yahoo continued its shutdown of services in China, asking users to transfer their Yahoo Mail accounts to Alibaba's AliMail service. Yahoo has been phasing out services since it acquired a 40% stake in Alibaba in 2005. Yahoo has divested some of that stake, but it still owns 24%.
Stake. Marcus Notch Persson announced he's no longer developing space exploration game 0 × 10 to the Sea. During a live stream, Notch said that when someone copied all of his code and made their own version of the game, that was kind of the start of the decline of 0 × 10 to the Sea, and that he realized the community was more powerful than he had the energy for. He also said he stopped developing the game because everyone started caring about it before it was even done.
Google has been granted a patent called Pay for Gaze advertising that involves charging advertisers when users look at an ad. The patent doesn't mention Google Glass by name, but does describe similar-sounding eyewear. Google Glass has an eye-tracking sensor that's not currently used formally. The patent describes how advertisers could be charged based on how directly users looked at an ad and for how long.
August 19th, 2015 will be the end of the Microsoft Tag era. That's right, Microsoft's QR code alternative will no longer be supported 2 years from today. Microsoft announced that ScanBuy will help support Microsoft Tag in September and offer transition services to its Scan Life program.
Barnes & Noble released Nook video apps Monday for iOS, Android, Roku, and guess what? Nook. Nook Video launched September 2012 as a similar service to, say, iTunes or Vudu. Nook Video supports the ultraviolet system, which Vudu does too, that stores your rights to movie or TV shows in the cloud and lets you watch them on any compatible service. Barnes & Noble announced in June it would stop manufacturing its own tablets, but by the end of the year, though it may continue the Nook tablet line with a partner, and intends to continue making e-ink devices, which don't play video.
Samsung announced that the Galaxy Mega is making its way to the U.S. on AT&T, Sprint, and U.S. Cellular. The Mega has a 6.3-inch screen. It's a phone, not a tablet, and runs Android 4.2.2 on a 1.7 gigahertz dual-core processor. The AT&T model will be available on August 23rd for $150. The other carriers have yet to reveal pricing and availability information.
This episode of Tech News Today brought to you by ProX VPN. We talk about privacy threats pretty much every episode of Tech News Today. And we talk about hackers, and we talk about network problems and network issues. And you know what I do? Because I'm going to be traveling later this week. And if I'm going to be at a hotel, if I'm going to be at an airport and I want to get connected, I'm going to have to use one of their insecure Wi-Fi things. Not that they're being negligent, but just open Wi-Fi access is not secure. There's all kinds of ways to grab your passwords and sniff your packets. Don't let people sniff your packets. Use a VPN. Keep their nose out of it. ProX VPN is a global VPN that works with almost any internet connection. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel through which all your online data passes back and forth. Any online application can work with ProX VPN, including a web browser, email, instant messaging, file sharing. ProX VPN keeps everything you do hidden from prying eyes online. Keeps your physical location a secret, gives you unfettered access to any website or online service. They use OpenVPN or PPTP. I've configured it on my phone. I use it that way when I want to connect my phone to an open Wi-Fi spot. Protect yourself. Get a virtual private network. There's a new ProX VPN app for Android in the Google Play Store that supports that OpenVPN, so check that out. And try it out. Go to proxvpn.com/twit for more information. Sign up. ProX VPN premium accounts are normally $9.95 a month or $74.95 for an entire year, but we've got a special offer. Use the code TNT and get 20% off for the lifetime of your account. That's less than $5 a month on the yearly plan. If you're not satisfied, you can cancel within 7 days for a full refund. So go to proxvpn.com/twit and sign up with the code TNT. We thank ProX VPN for their support of Tech News Today. All right, let's kick off the week in style and bring in our guest for the roundtable discussion. Clayton Morris, anchor of Fox and Friends on the Fox News Channel, is with us. Good to have you back on the show, Clayton.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me back.
We got some interesting things to talk about today. Let's start off, Ayaz, with the Beats HTC trouble in paradise.
Yeah, well, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Beats is trying to get out of its HTC deal. It's trying to buy out HTC's interest in the company. HTC once owned 50.1% of Beats by paying Beats $300 million, then sold back half of that to Beats for $150 million. HTC integrated Beats in its phones and other devices. The Journal says Beats wants to bring in a new investor that can provide it with fresh funds for growth. And Beats right now is currently expanding its line of products. They already have headphones. They're going to be including car speakers, and there's a music service that's coming out soon. The Journal says that Beats turned down a deal a couple of months ago that would have given the company hundreds of millions of dollars in cash for acquisitions and investments without making the founders give up control of Beats, the company. The new investor could provide debt financing. The Journal doesn't exactly report the identity of this mystery investor. And Beats tried to raise $700 million from credit markets a while ago, but investors wondered if their headphones were just trendy because they own like 59% of the premium headphone market, but it doesn't seem like the investors are happy with that. Clayton, is there a better electronics partner for Beats out there than HTC?
I don't know. I was really scratching my head about this one because I think if you go on their website, if you go to HTC's website, I think, and they try to give you an idea of how Beats is integrated into the product. I mean, it is buried in there, and it really doesn't. It's their own. What do they call it? HTC Boom Sound. Yeah, yes, the logo says Beats on the device. I've got the HTC one right here. On the back, it says Beats Audio on the back of this puppy, but they don't actually, it doesn't seem like they integrated the brand well on HTC. So the HTC Boom Sound is what they're calling it. But they're basically saying, yeah, it's a sound with Beats Audio. So I don't think that they marketed this thing well, just to have a little logo on the back of it. And it's not really clear what exactly it's doing. You know, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. They're just starting to roll out these commercials now with Robert Downey Jr. But I don't know. I think it's a premium product. And it may have been cool if they were able to bundle some headphones from Beats inside of the case as well when you bought an HTC One. But for that price, $199, you're getting this great phone. And yeah, we threw in some premium headphones as well. I don't think it's something that Beats would benefit from, feeling like it's just an add-on accessory that they threw in the box.
For good or for ill, it doesn't seem like bundling in high-quality sound in things ends up making a big difference. And maybe a little bit of a bump or a little bit of a boost. But Apple has tried to emphasize sound quality in its iTunes store with certain things they sell. HP has done this as well. And if you're HTC and you've got serious issues already, you're certainly not going to help Beats out a lot when your sales are troubling. And it's not the kind of thing, apparently, that makes the difference, as much as folks like Scott Wilkinson on Home Theater Geeks believe that it should, and I'm sure a lot of you out there believe that it should, but it just unfortunately is the case that people don't value audio quality the way they used to.
I guess, but they also probably use sound docks, and they use other things that they're attaching it to. I mean, sure, my wife will use her iPhone and turn on speakers and listen to a podcast as she's maneuvering around the house a little bit, walking from room to room. But I got to think, most people, sitting on the train, walking around the city, they get the best earbuds that they want to go out and purchase. And so maybe they are going to go and buy some Beats headphones, and those are the things that they're going to use. I don't know that they're so concerned about having speakers built into their cell phone. Most people are going to want to use some sort of Bluetooth stereo. They'll put it on a dock when they're at a hotel or they're out having a patio party at their house. No one's going to sit there with a smartphone and have 30 people over at their house. Can you all hear that? Can you hear that music?
Well, it's powered by Beats, Clayton. You can hear it. You can see the little red logo on there. Yeah, I think phones might be a weird place to have really good audio, at least speaker-wise. But the thing about music players in the old days, the iPod was widely regarded as inferior to the Zune when it came to music processing. And never mind the whole absolutely crappy Apple earbuds that used to come with every iPod and iPhone. Like there was, even if you had the highest quality of lossless audio, if you're wearing crappy headphones, it doesn't make a difference. If Beats had, I don't know if there's a company out there that could partner up with Beats, like let's say Samsung, that could make the audio experience seem like it's a bigger deal for somebody using their phone, because it seems like a lot of, what's that?
Maybe automobiles. I mean, Bose is built into what, Mercedes? Bose has partnered with a couple of companies, right? A couple of automakers.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a young hipper car brand that would benefit from having Beats built into it. Maybe Toyota and the Prius line, something like that. There may be some simpatico there. I don't know.
The car space is actually a good idea.
Yeah, I do think that people like to buy the Beats products. I just don't know that makes a difference when they're purchasing a phone. Not even just for the speakers, but like even saying like, hey, it's going to come with Beats audio headphones. People say, oh, that's nifty, but it doesn't change their purchase. It's not the differentiator. It's not the decision maker when they buy a phone, sadly, for HTC. Google went down over the weekend, or actually it was on Friday, from 2352 to 2357 BST, or around 352 Pacific time. Brief panic on Twitter. Topsy actually tracked it. You can see the graph there, and you see the little spike. If you go to the next one, Jason, there we go. Yeah, down there, you see that Topsy spike as everybody's like, Google's not working. Drive, Google Drive, Gmail, lots of other services that Ayaz mentioned were affected. And as Go Squared said, 40% drop in pages. Google responded, we have received reports of an issue affecting some Google services. The issue is now resolved. Please follow our dashboard for more information. I am still waiting for somebody to explain this. Any guesses out there?
No, it hit me. I just happened to jump online when I got home from work on Friday afternoon to do some work, and I needed all Google services to get my work done. I needed Google Drive, I needed Gmail, and I couldn't get any of it. I needed to go into YouTube, I couldn't get any of it. Was jumping around on different websites. Everything else was working fine. Twitter was up and running, but Gmail was down. I don't know that I buy the 40% thing. I said this to Leah last night on Twit, but 40%. That seems to me that's the same number that we hear that Netflix has during primetime viewing audiences, right? 40% web traffic as a result of Netflix. So you mean to tell me on a Friday afternoon that 40% of global page views were affected by this? And also, by the way, Friday afternoon is when everything was erupting in Cairo, and you had a lot of web traffic on Twitter, huge spikes in Twitter traffic on Friday. So I don't know that 40%, that number seems dubious to me.
Well, remember, this is for people who don't know, and I know you know this, Clayton, but this is Go Squared's estimation based on their tracking. They're an analyst company, so they're tracking this, and it may or may not be particularly representative, but they think it's fairly representative. Remember, though, that Netflix number is a spike at prime time in the evenings, and there was a recent report that YouTube makes up about 25% of the traffic overall on average. So if you look
True.
at that, then it starts to be like, well, maybe.
Yeah, but Friday afternoon, and I know that, well, of course, globally, right here in the United States, I'm thinking these 2 weeks are the 2 most popular weeks for people to take vacation in the United States. On a Friday afternoon, that's, I don't know. It just seems
And
like
Europe
people
too.
are half
Europe's
asleep
off
at their
right now,
computer.
yeah.
I did not notice the panic, or didn't notice that this happened, by the way, because
I missed it too. Yeah.
I was having all kinds of fun DNS issues with Comcast over the weekend, where it's like, hey, you gotta activate your service. It's like, but I activated it a month ago. You got to activate your service. So I would do this every couple of minutes. So I kind of got annoyed and tried to figure that out. So I missed this whole Google thing happening. I did see it on Reddit once my internet was back up. It's like, oh yeah, they said, I just showed a little image of a guy like who disconnected a wire, saying, oh, that's what happened on Friday. For 5 minutes though, if there's 40% less page views, it just means that a lot of people are probably simply going, they're typing in their browser in their actual URL. They're not going .com. They're just running Facebook. It'll do a Google search automatically, and boom, before you know it, people are like, what happened to Google? It's gone.
I love the panic, though. I mean, my train is 5 minutes late regularly, and there's no panic. You hear that little ding. South Orange customers looking for your train on track 5. That train is delayed 5 minutes. Everyone just kind of rolls their eyes and drinks their coffee and kind of glances around. But when there's a 5-minute Google outage, holy crap!
Well, think about how much you accomplish in 5 minutes in the world of the internet, right? We're multitasking, so we're not just doing one thing every 10 seconds. We're doing like 5. The internet goes down for 5 minutes. You just lost a lot of work.
That should be Google's 503 page for service unavailable. We're sorry. The Google services are delayed 5 minutes.
Delayed.
We apologize.
Yeah, grab a coffee.
For any inconvenience this
Where
may
would you get
cause.
the coffee from? That's the thing. You try to search it on Google and it's gone.
I think there's a bigger story in here of what happened too,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Google's not talking, which makes me more curious. I don't have any speculation, but
Yeah, so far there's no
It takes
updates.
a lot
I'm
to
still
bring
looking
down
for it.
all
Yeah,
the
that
Google
is true.
services.
When you've got multiple server centers scattered around the world, it seems odd that you would have this type of an outage for this long for Google.
Well, and the last time they had something like this was when every site became malware, and that was user error. So it may be that there was like a really, really like somebody switched something off somewhere by mistake, and they just don't want to embarrass the person, or it could be, I don't know, it could be something nefarious. I feel like it has to be internal to affect that range of services because it was all over the place. Meanwhile, Google's got a patent out there that will track your eyes for advertisers.
Yeah, so there's that patent called pay-per-gaze advertising. It's making the news today. It actually was granted last Tuesday, filed way back in May 2011. Now, the advertising would work like this. It would charge advertisers if a user looks at an ad online or offline while wearing something like Google Glass. Like Tom mentioned in the news views, Glass isn't mentioned in the application, but the application refers to eyeglasses with sidearms that engage the ears of the user and lenses with at least one forward-facing scene camera. Pay-per-gaze would work like this. It can determine what you're looking at and for how long, and it can determine how to charge based on that duration. The patent also said that Google would be able to see what kind of emotional response you have to the ad by using indicators like the user's pupil dilation. The patent also covers latent pre-searching, which is kind of like augmented reality. If you look at something, you might see data about that object before you even search for it. Clayton, companies, they file patents all the time. Do you think there's a chance we'll actually see these things in real life?
I think it's possible, but you say companies file patents all the time, then they probably have some awareness about patents being made public and being put out there. Didn't no one in this meeting think that the name for this patent was a bad idea, or when someone read it out loud for the first time? I mean, it's better to, it's better
I
to
just
type
wrote
it
in the
than to
chat
say.
room. I'm like, it's a patent filing. They didn't bring the marketing department in, but it is. Yeah.
But I mean, come on. It's like when saying it out loud, I'm like, did anyone think about that for a moment? I don't know this technology though. I mean, I really feel like, when I see when I see Google Glass, which I rarely do, I think of the Segway. As much as I like the Segway, and I like to ride them around when you're down at the beach once in a while, and I like to see, when you're at a warehouse or something like that. I just feel like this is going to be a huge gimmick. But there is something to be said. We saw these London trash cans over the last week, scanning people's smartphones to kind of give them advertisements based on their location. So I think the sort of location-aware advertising is coming. We're starting to see it in different places, targeting specifically for you based on your location. So I don't know. It's going to be an absolute mess. Think about not trying to do multitasking now, but then wearing glasses where you're going to have advertising in your face on a regular basis just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it's gonna have to shake out the way advertising shook out on the internet, and everybody hated it when it first came along. And some sites still do it poorly, and others have figured out how to best present it. I do think the idea of an eye tracking sensor is one of the most exciting things about Google Glass, and I'm sad that it really isn't being used yet. This isn't the most exciting thing that I would want it to be used for. I want it to be able to like tell where I'm looking with the mouse pointer and like blink to click or some crazy stuff like that. But the idea that advertisers actually get paid for your attention, I don't find this to be a privacy problem, that they're tracking where I'm looking at things particularly. In fact, I think it's actually better for on the advertising thing. I think for consumers, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be looking around at ads. They're going to have ads in there. So if this means that they get more relevant ads, if they can figure out how to make them be less annoying, that could be a good thing.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think we've heard rumblings of this with, how the Xbox One will interact with people sitting on their couch. When you're watching an advertisement, are you actually watching an advertisement? Are you talking with your friends on the couch? Are you looking down at some sort of a smartphone device? Are you in the kitchen, but you're listening to the television? I think there are a lot of metrics as it relates to old media that are simply old, and we simply don't know enough about audiences. We don't know enough about advertising. And so if you are paying for engagement, and if you're an advertiser and you're really hoping that engagement is the answer, and that's what you want to build your brand, to sell your products, this could be a really exciting frontier, I think. So someone's actually watching your advertisement. Maybe we'll get not even just more relevant ads, just better advertisements.
I could see this definitely being something that Google puts together to make the Google Glass price come down. I know right now $1,500 for the developer version, rumors around $300. If this could be integrated in that kind of like Amazon special offers kind of thing, where either it's on by default, you can bring the price down even further. So while it won't be, maybe it won't have to be stuck with that Segway kind of fate because it's so pricey and a little bit ludicrous, but if it's a lower price device and you can actually have this and maybe have ads and you're sending metrics back, maybe that could make the price come down. But I definitely think Google will actually end up using this because it just seems like they want to collect the world's data and they want to know what you're doing, and they're basically an advertising company at this point. This is another way to do it, whether it'll be on Google Glass or maybe I'll try to integrate it with Chrome in one day or Chromebooks or something. Maybe that will be the way they'll make more money because that's what Google likes to do.
I do think that it's a dangerous idea because remember Point Roll, where it would follow your cursor, the ads? Yes. That turned out to be so annoying that it didn't work, and no respectable sites do it anymore. But imagine it following your eyes. Like no matter where you look, there's the ad.
Your eyes say yes.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about dangerous too. When you get into all sorts of issues. Are you driving when this is happening? Are you walking? You're going to walk into a trash can. You're going to walk into a telephone pole. I think there are all sorts of.
And they'll recommend a good hospital.
The telephone poles now.
Let's just be honest, folks. Ads kill. All right, that's what we're saying. Speaking of ads, this one won't kill you. I promise. I really, really hope it won't. Gazelle.com. It's the place to go if you want to get rid of your old stuff. Do you want the new Samsung Galaxy S4? Maybe you plan to buy the HTC One or maybe the iPhone 5. Before you upgrade, make sure you sell your used phone or gadget to Gazelle for cash. Find out how much you can get at Gazelle.com. You'll probably be surprised. Gazelle.com. Find your item. Tell them the condition. They'll even buy broken iPhones and iPads. Get a risk-free offer for your gadgets and lock it in for 30 days. That's going to take you past September 10th, folks. Lock in that price now. Then after you get your phone or order your phone, then you can send it to them. You got 30 days to do it. Once they get it, they'll get you paid fast by check, PayPal, or an extra 5% with an Amazon gift card. And Gazelle's buying back a larger selection of tablets these days as well. Maybe you want to get rid of an old iPad or a Samsung or a Google Nexus, Kindle Fire, Microsoft Surface, even an Asus, and get some money for a new phone that way or even a new tablet. Gazelle will take all of that stuff. So get an offer for your product today. You get paid in cash and you get paid fast. It's I sort of rely on it to get rid of my old stuff when I upgrade. What's your iPhone, Samsung, and other Android smartphone worth? Take a minute, go to Gazelle.com to find out. Sell your used Samsung Galaxy or iPhone today at Gazelle.com. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. All right, big news hitting the internets this morning, although a lot of people have known this for 9 days. Marcus Persson, a.k.a. Notch, saying, yeah, he's not going to develop 10 to the C anymore. That was his big new space future game with a programmable computer built into it that you could take over and program and even put viruses in it. He was playing TF2 on Twitch 9 days ago, and he said he was answering questions in a chat room while he was playing. He said there's no future for him with 10 to the C anyway.
No, there are no future aspirations for 10 to the C. If someone else at the office wants to do it, then yeah. But I'm just going to be working on small games for the rest of my life.
And then he followed that. He actually said earlier in the stream why he wants to work on smaller games.
I kind of realized I don't want to make games people get crazy about. Maybe after I made them, people can get crazy about it, but if people are crazy about it while I'm making the games, it kind of takes all the fun out of it.
On Twitter, he said it was much easier to have grand plans when nobody knew who I was. Gaming world doesn't need more under-delivering visionaries. He's kind of repeated most of these thoughts in a Tumblr post that went up. And in fact, big thanks to Rocher in the chat room for pointing out that Tumblr post went up during the show just now. There's a community that's decided to take over the project. Now, they're not using Notch's code, and they're not using his name, but Notch has given him his blessing. He said some people in the 10 to the C community decided to work together to make their own version of the game called Project Trillic. I find this absolutely amazing. I want to play this game so much, but I am not the right person to make it. Not anymore. I'm convinced a new team with less public interest can make a vastly superior game than what I would make. And later on in the post, he says, I want to do smaller games that can fail. I want to experiment, develop, and think and tinker and tweak. Now, this is unusual, and Notch is an unusual guy. He's very creative. He's very cool. He's a very thoughtful person. And he's saying, you know what? I want to do what I'm good at, what I'm having fun with. And doing this in the public eye is not nearly as fun as Minecraft was because nobody knew I was doing Minecraft. Clayton, is this the way of the world now?
Well, I mean, these smaller game developers, and it seems to be, I mean, if that's what he's trying to emulate, I mean, how it's kind of almost J.K. Rowling and her trying to pretend that she's a guy and hide her name so she can do a smaller book, right? And experience what that's like to have some sort of small success and see if she can experience that again. I'm excited to see that. I think there are, there's a lot of rote games now that are out there, and I would like to see some innovation in the game space again that would get me playing more casual games. I would love to see some fantastic castle game. Well done. That isn't the same old thing that I could just dip in and out of. So I'd be curious to see what he can do and what he means by smaller games.
Maybe one.
Because to me, Minecraft seems small, right? I mean, it seems small at the beginning.
He got a lot of attention because of Minecraft, and maybe because he was so public with it that's why it caused all these expectations. Just the idea that basically people were excited about it seemed to kind of put him off. It just seems like he wants to make the games really for himself. It's almost like a musician who makes it really big, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to sell it to my album, to my label." But it's kind of a shame when a developer like this is not going to continue with his vision. But then again, like he was saying before, like Notch was saying, that his community is more excited about it than it seems like he is. So maybe they can make the game go somewhere else. But it just seems like burnout. And I don't know how exactly, apart from having a pseudonym or not publicizing the game until it comes out at the very end and making sure your name is never attached to it, I don't know how he's going to avoid the publicity.
He said he participated in the 7D FPS project and made a hectic shooter inspired by Doom called Shambles. And he said it was some of the most fun programming I've done in many months. He was doing that openly and online, but it wasn't getting the pressure that 10 to the C was getting. And I think what he's saying is, I want to have fun programming. I want to do what I find enjoyable. And I wasn't finding that enjoyable anymore because of the attention it was getting, because people taking the code and doing things with it. And he doesn't want, the normal response would be to shut it down and do it in secret, right? And I think it's interesting that not just saying, well, that's not the way I want to work. And so I want to work the way I want to work and do things that I find to be enjoyable. So I'm not cut out to be that big name programmer with the giant project. It's a great example of knowing yourself here.
Is he, and I find it curious, his statement, the gaming world doesn't need more under-delivering visionaries. Who is he referring to?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I'm sure we could all come up with our own personal opinions of what that is. But yeah, definitely big companies like EA, and maybe I'll just throw out SimCity recently as something that was a big vision that didn't deliver on the promise. At least a lot of people think that.
And Spore?
Yeah, definitely with Spore. I don't think Notch is like trying to cast aspersions on Will Wright. Do you?
I don't know. That's yeah. I don't know. And I think a lot of people felt like Spore was a bit of a letdown. You played it for an afternoon, and you know it was a lot of hype. You know, Will Wright is creating the next big thing, and then it was kind of like, all right, really. And maybe that's who knows. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I'm curious what he means by that.
Well, and he had to work within Maxis, within EA. Notch, you know, with Mojang Games, has a lot more flexibility already. And I think this is pointing to a different kind of future that the internet is creating, where people can be a little choosier about what they do and do things that satisfy them, that actualize them, not even just make them happy, but make them feel like, I really enjoy doing this. I really feel like I'm getting something out of it. I'd be interested to see what Notch comes up with. I have a feeling we're going to see some really interesting small games. What's the future for him, and whether this is typical or not are sort of the big questions. A lot of people actually try to figure out what their future is going to be, and LinkedIn wants to help.
Yeah, so they introduced a section called University Pages. Now, more than 200 schools, including NYU, University of Michigan, University of California, San Diego, have profile pages. According to LinkedIn, the profile pages allow prospective students to see how many of a school's graduates are on LinkedIn and a breakdown on the main fields in which they work. The pages also let students ask questions to the campus community, learn about different universities, find notable alumni, and a list of the top employers of alumni. Now, LinkedIn says it's going to also drop the minimum age for terms of service to 14 in the U.S. I believe it's 13 for around the world, starting September 12th. Clayton, is this going to cause lifelong LinkedIn users? Because when you're going to go from high school to college, you're like, I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to use this forever, and I'm going to use LinkedIn in college, and then after college, and forever.
Yeah, who can predict lifelong? But I think that I never use LinkedIn, but I hear, we have experts that come on the show that talk about it all the time. It's incredibly valuable to take those relationships you're making after college, using the social experience you get while you're in college, and carrying that forth into the job marketplace. A lot of those jobs that those folks get, their first jobs out of college, or because relationships they developed in college. Why not get it started early? It seems to be a move. But if you've been on LinkedIn, it just seems so. It seems they're moving in a bit of quite a Facebook direction with all of the people you may know and the people who most recently visited you, and you can give them reviews, and you can give them you can endorse them, and this person endorsed you, but really, are you really these people who are endorsing you actually have never done work for you, you've never worked with them, they're just endorsing you because they like you and they want to flirt with you. So I don't know, it seems to me maybe moving in a bit of a Facebook direction. I wonder if it's going to turn more into a dating site than a career site.
Am I a bad person because I've never endorsed anyone on LinkedIn?
Yes.
I haven't either. I don't even know. I've never done that either.
It strikes me as poking, or liking or something.
Yeah,
and it
that's
just
what I mean.
Like I definitely have done the recommendations where you go in and say, like, I've worked with this person and they're amazing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's valuable. That's sort of like one button push doesn't do it for me. But I do think this is smart for LinkedIn to say, the natural extension of a site that is more and more becoming the place where people go to find jobs, at least certain types of jobs, is to get the people who are entering the job pool to start using it earlier in their lives.
Yeah, like Clayton is saying, LinkedIn has been doing a lot more social networking functions, more like Facebook with this idea of having functions that just don't seem like they'd be business-oriented. But the thing is, if they get users in early, maybe the users in high school would go, wait a second, maybe I should keep a professional style of social network with LinkedIn. I can do goofy things and post them on other sites. But the thing about LinkedIn is you got to make sure it stays professional, because even if you get these high school kids in here who are going to be pinging all these people like, hey, you graduated from the University of Michigan. Can you tell me about this? I just wonder is that going to cause annoyance? Will users be annoyed that they're getting this kind of feedback from other people trying to connect with them on LinkedIn, because their relationship may be very tenuous. Why would the CEO of GM really want to be talking to a kid who is going from high school to college? So
the lucky thing for LinkedIn there, Ayaz, is there are already lots of annoying people on LinkedIn who have battle tested the system to make sure that it can keep that sort of thing limited.
So they'll bring the kids in early, and then it'll just become a nice.
No, I'm saying the adults don't act any better than you are saying the kids may act already right now.
I don't think it's going to really drive a lot of LinkedIn users for life. It just seems like it'll be used as a tool, kind of like when you got the when you have that one, what was it, the Princeton Review Guide of all the colleges, that kind of thing you'd look at and you go, okay, but you don't subscribe to that forever. You just look at it and use it once. I think people will be using this for maybe that 6-month period and then get out of LinkedIn.
Yeah, I don't know if there's
when you're
something
desperate
with
and you're
the
looking
time.
for a job and you go and you want to clean up your resume and you post that up there. You're like, now it's time to go check that thing I haven't checked in 2 years. Oh, I still have a LinkedIn profile. Good, I better get on that. I don't know who's checking in on it every day. Maybe there are people. I don't know. I never check.
If you're not looking for work, me
Yeah.
either. All right, let's finish up with a story I read on TechCrunch this weekend by John Evans, referring to Bruce Sterling's State of the World talk that he does on the Well every year. Recently, in his most recent one, Bruce Sterling talked about Amazon and Google and referred to them as stacks, and Apple as well. He said, in 2012, it made less and less sense to talk about the internet. This is Sterling being quoted by Evans. It made less and less sense to talk about the internet, the PC business, telephones, Silicon Valley, or the media, and much more sense to just study Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. These big five American vertically organized silos are remaking the world in their image. And Evans sort of meditated on that and said, is this the future we want? He mentions the indie web movement. Wired did a great article on the indie web movement recently. Brad Fitzpatrick and fellow Googler Brett Slatkin are coming up with something called Camly Store. It's an open source alternative to cloud storage services like Google Drive. Evans says the sad truth is that the overwhelming majority of people, including highly technical, capable people, don't want peer-to-peer protocols. They don't want to own their data. They just want ease and convenience. And as sort of a last hope, he points out, hey, Skype was peer-to-peer and only became less peer-to-peer because of smartphones. BitTorrent, it was very popular in peer-to-peer, and Bitcoin as well. Here's a question that Evans puts, and I want to hear what you guys think. Might you one day only need to install a Stackseed app on your phone or computer in order for it to become a node in one of several ever-shifting peer-to-peer clouds, striping multiple copies of your encrypted data to a motley crew of other member devices, flickering chaotically around the planet like weather?
I think it's kind of already happening, not in that way. But, I think when you get a new Android device, you fire it up and you're thrilled that all your stuff is right there. I don't know how many people are printing out, and not even my mom anymore, which is a big movement, not even printing out, photos anymore. There's no big shoebox sitting in her house anymore. All the photos she's taking on her iPhone lives somewhere, maybe in the cloud, maybe on PhotoStream. Most of my photos, I don't print out maybe one. Maybe I'll do one print every so often, but all of it lives up on, in Picasa or Google Plus or on Flickr somewhere. And so when I'm shopping for a new hard drive for my new iMac, I'm thinking, well, I'm only using maybe 50 gigabytes on there anyway. Do I really need the 3 terabyte hard drive? It doesn't seem like I need to even worry about that anymore. And I'm a technical person. I just don't know how much stuff and things I need around on my own backup hard drives anymore.
Isn't this idea? Isn't this a lot like BitTorrent Sync, where you can get your data and put it all over the place? You would select the people that could sync up with your data. You can have friends and family, your own devices. Just sounds very similar to that to me. I think that kind of idea, if you did like a P2P syncing solution, like you're saying a Stackseed app or these kinds of things, I think that's for the really dedicated, because the other thing is you have to keep your machines running. And that's one of the things we don't really want to do. A lot of people still want to do. We don't want to be like the engineers behind everything. You want to just say, oh, Google screwed up. You want to be like, oh, now my machine is broken. I got to take care of this. It just seems like if you are willing to do the work of maintaining your machines and you have an altruism of like, I want to make sure that other people can access it and have that, it just seems like it's a lot of work to put up or to ask somebody to do unless it's really easy.
Well, that's what Connected Data, the folks at Connected Data have sort of banked their business on with the creation of the transporter. The folks that broke away from Drobo and now they were purchased back by Drobo again. The transporter, of course, you connect it, you allow the shared drives, and their transporter 2.0 software that I think is launching very, very soon they've switched it so it'll look very much like Dropbox. But yes, and here's the device right here. Actually, I can pull it over here, and it's on and running right now. And yes, it needs to be on and running, as to your point. So, and if I give access to these other people, these other shared folders, they sort of live in my own cloud. But My mom's not going to get one of these, I don't think.
It's an interesting metaphor. Is this public transportation where people tend to prefer to own their own car and take care of the car, maybe hire somebody to fix it when it breaks down, but rather than rely on trains and planes and automobiles, at least here in the United States? Or is it more like a bank where most of us don't keep all of our money in our house anymore? We trust the banking system as far as it goes. Even though we say we don't trust the banking system, we still all keep money in banks. And I think it's a really interesting meditation that John Evans proposes here, which is the internet continually routes around itself. Every time we think, oh, AOL's ruining it, they're going to bring everything inside this closed internet and all the people who want the convenience of it are going to stay there. It doesn't work. Everyone starts to realize the advantages of the exterior. And right now we're on that swing of the pendulum where everyone's saying, oh, it's the Facebooks and the Googles and Apple are all trying to get us to live within there and everybody's going to do it because it's more convenient. I think we're about to see a big swing towards people coming up with open solutions that provide an advantage. As people start to use all of these cloud services, they're going to run into the limitations of them and start to complain. And that's how the internet seems to work. We'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the randomizer. Our live audience has been voting in a straw poll on 3 randomizer choices for the show today. 1, this robot can jump 10 times its body length, got 19% of the votes. Ottawa, meaning the government in Canada, testing $620,000 stealth snowmobile for the Arctic, got 34%. But the winning one, can powdered rain make drought a thing of the past? This getting 47% of the vote. It's super absorbent gel that you use to hold on to water. It's called Solid Rain, and it's being pioneered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Little water can be absorbed as little as 10 grams of the material. A liter, not a liter, a liter of water can be absorbed in as little as 10 grams of the material and help plants make it through droughts. Criticism is saying, you know what, this has been around for a long time. Gardeners have been using this sort of thing. It's not that big of a deal.
I think it's just a marketing thing. I mean, powdered rain or solid rain is a good name. They could just call it like the biggest ShamWow ever. I think people will be behind it. It's just going to hold a lot of water in a small surface. That's good to transport things.
Does the idea hold water, Clayton?
I don't know. For my organic hippie wife, she's like, we're not putting that in my garden. I don't know what's in that. That weird gel-like stuff. Get that out of my garden soil.
But it's super absorbent.
All right.
And it's made of potassium.
See, I see some other applications when my daughter spills a big glass of milk. Get the powdered water. Let's throw that down. Suck it right up.
Solid rain or chocolate rain? Which do you prefer? I have to make it up.
Purple rain.
True.
All kinds. All right, let's see what's on the calendar. Sarah Lane will be back tomorrow, but until then, a TiVo Book 9 Plus will ship tomorrow, along with Sarah Lane, for $1,400. A couple other things going on tomorrow. The Droid Ultra, Droid Max, and Droid Mini go on sale, and Y Combinator demo days happen tomorrow. Mozilla also announced that they're planning a Firefox Metro version for Windows 8 tiled interface, and that should be coming December 10th. Let's see what's incoming.
Incoming message.
It's a message from Rich in Westbury, New York. He says, "Hey guys, I love the show. I listen every day on my way to work. I listened to Friday's show, and it seemed you were all in agreement that a Nokia Windows RT tablet was a terrible idea. I disagree for a bunch of reasons. Number 1, all of the most successful smartphones have a companion tablet. iPhone has iPad. The Galaxy S has the Tab. And the same goes for the Note and the Nexus. Number 2, Nokia makes great apps. Obviously, you can't run legacy Windows software on it, but Nokia can and will create apps for it. I would personally love to take a photo on my Lumia 1020 and be able to work with the photo on a tablet that is designed just for that. Number 3, Windows RT and Windows Phone clearly need to have a closer relationship, and would seem for the next step that would have to happen would be for Nokia to make a Windows RT tablet. We still haven't seen a GDR3 for Windows Phone, let alone Windows Phone 8.1, but we still haven't seen the full versions of Windows RT 8.1. This could be a coming change. Thanks for all the great work."
You know, we found out since that story that it may in fact be a phone, a Windows phone that's just gargantuan that they were talking about. And these are all good points, but I think they avoid what I thought was the fundamental problem, which is Windows RT underneath. These are all great reasons that Nokia should have a tablet to go along with their Windows phones. I just don't know that Windows RT is the right operating system for that. People, for ill or good, they have a perception that Windows RT is crippled, and then they don't want to buy it.
I do agree with this point, though, and I like the Lumia 1020, which I'm holding here, take 41 megapixel shots and be able to drop it on a tablet and be able to work with it. One of the sectors that we're hearing about that has been successful with Windows and the Surface has been graphic designers and graphical artists who have been able to use it, be able to pick up a stylus and do some great work there. And they're really actually finding the functionality top notch, but that's a very small sector of folks. So,
and is it Surface Pro or Surface RT?
I think Surface Pro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think
I think Surface Pro is pretty viable still.
Yeah, so it's a mess. I think he's right though. You've got these. We still don't have Windows 8.1 for phone. We don't know how that's going to look, how it's going to work back and forth. But that's how the way Microsoft does things, right? Yeah,
it sadly seems to be the case. Well, that wraps it up for us on Tech News Today. Clayton Morris, thank you so much. Obviously, check out Fox and Friends with Clayton on the Fox News channel, but you always got some cool projects going on. What else are you up to these days?
Well, yesterday, last year we built my speed reading app for the iPad called Read Quick, and last night we submitted it to the App Store, actually last week, and we're going back and forth with it now. Hopefully, Read Quick for the iPhone, it was our most requested new feature, I guess, if you want to call it that. From current users who wanted to be able to speed read on their iPhone all of your news, connect it with your Instapaper account, your Pocket account. Coming soon, we're working with Evernote and Readability, and we're working on a book solution. But I'm just still waiting for the update here from Apple. But any moment now, Read Quick for the iPhone will be available in the App Store. And then we'll be working on the Android version as well. So that's been consuming a lot of my time over the last 8 months.
And keep up with Clayton at ClaytonMorris.com as well. Thank you, Clayton. Also, don't forget our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com, to submit story ideas. And open mic submissions still being accepted for our Labor Day episode. Now, we're recording it. Don't get confused. We're recording it on Thursday, August 22nd.
No,
we're not. We're recording it Wednesday, August 28th at 9 a.m., but we need you to submit by Thursday, August 22nd, by the end of the day. Just send an email to tnt@twit.tv with the subject line open mic. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why we should pick you. You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. Email us, tnt@twit.tv, or give us a call. Leave us a voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW. Rich DeMuro from KTLA joins us tomorrow. We'll see you then.